50 employees now.
That's freaking crazy, man. Dude, that's insane. You guys have grown so fast. There's got to be a lot of stress with that too, man.
Only because our industry is taking so many hits, dude. Interest rates,
Oh, you're killing it.
they crush our industry.
Yeah.
Like they're so hard. Like this economy, with what our policies are doing, really hurt our industry. So
Which is crazy that man.
It's an oxymoron. You know what I mean? Like, actually, I don't know if I'm live right now.
Yeah.
Let me make sure. Let me see if these are on. Okay, hey, Cade, do you want to turn my speaker on? We good? Okay, let's get started. Okay, all right, hey, so welcome to our third 2023 Smart Money event. Let's give some energy, a big round of applause, okay? For those that are virtual, we can see your comments. Please comment, add to the energy. For those that are here in person, welcome. Before we jump into tonight's event, we're going to introduce our guests here in a second. This is a special guest for me specifically, okay? Ryan Lee's our guest tonight. He is my brother. We're going to talk a little bit about him here in a second. Before we do, I had the privilege to grow up with this individual. And in some of our other guests that have spoken to us, I've loved what they've said, but I don't know if, in your case, if it's hard to relate to them sometimes. They kind of just look. They've already arrived at that point in life. I grew up with this guy, so I saw what he was before he is where he is. So what I love about him and his story, you're going to hear it tonight, it's very relatable. Anybody can do what he did, and anybody can follow his steps and get to a better place, which I'm excited for him to dive into tonight. But before he does, I want to make sure we're in the right frame of mind. So I want to talk about state. When you're at an event like this, you get what you're going to take out of it. You get what you're going to get out of it is where your mindset is. So I want us to be in a good state of mind, and I just want to ask a question. What does someone look like when they're in a good state? Okay, what does someone look like when they're in a good state? Okay, Mitch? Me. Okay, they look like you. I like it. Okay, back here?
Head up with the shoulders back.
Okay, Taylor, we've been through this, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, what someone looks like in a good state of mind, ready to learn, ready to bring energy to this, is they're in their chairs, and they're upright, their shoulders are back, and they're ready to pay attention. They got a notepad out and a pen ready to take notes. Okay, what does someone breathe like when they're in state?
Effectively.
Okay, they breathe calm and confident. Okay, I want us to bring energy to tonight's event because what you're about to hear is very, very special. So if you're slouched over in your chair, let's get up, let's get into good state, and let's bring the energy to tonight, okay? Now, to bring some noise, I want us, before we sit down in our chair, those that are virtual, I want you guys to stand up as well, and I want you to add to your energy at home. Wherever you are, I want you to bring the energy to where you are. But here in this room, I want to feel it before he comes up to stage. So stand up, and I want to hear exactly how you're feeling right now. Make some noise as loud as you can, and let's actually bring some noise to this, okay? Now, sit down, stay in state throughout the whole time. This is going to be an hour and a half, and let's bring the energy. Just a little bit of introduction to my brother here. Again, I've seen him at a young age to where he started to where he is now, and it's been an impressive journey to watch. Okay, by raise of hand, who knows Robert Kiyosaki in this room? Okay, what did Robert Kiyosaki do? Tell me about him.
Motorcycle.
Okay, well, hold on. Motorcycles. Okay, what did he do?
He sold printers door to door.
Did he? That's pretty cool, actually. I think I knew that. That is awesome. Okay, what else about Robert Kiyosaki? One of my favorite books. I always talk about 2 books changed my life, and one of them was Rich Dad Poor Dad. Incredible, incredible book, okay? Robert Allen. Who knows who Robert Allen is? Okay? No one knows who Robert Allen is. Tell me the books he wrote.
Nothing Down, Multiple Streams of Income, Creating Wealth. He precedes Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
He's the OG.
So what's neat is my brother has now been a business owner for over 10 years. He's made a company that's the foundation, and since then, multiple companies have now branched off. As he's been out in the market sharing his message, his methods, and his ways, authors and individuals like Robert Kiyosaki and Robert Allen have now approached him and said, look, we've created a way from Rich Dad Poor Dad. From the books Robert Allen wrote, we've created a way. What we now have seen you do, this is the future way. And so at the moment, they're co-authoring a book here with what he's built to go release to the public. That's pretty cool. Ryan, he just had his company evaluated. It's now worth over $100 million evaluation. He has clients. It's pretty cool. Very cool. He has clients that he works with. I don't know if you guys know Russell Brunson. He's one of the biggest influencers for marketing online. That's one of his clients in his business as well. So he works with very high-end people. And I don't know if I can talk about a new partner that's coming on board. Can I say that one? So this one's pretty cool because when I was a kid, I actually sold this guy's program of how to get into real estate and how to have an online business. Dean Graziosi, does anyone know who Dean Graziosi is? So Dean Graziosi is with Tony Robbins, one of his main players that runs his company, and an incredible individual. He now saw what they just built, and he's now come on board as a partner in Cashflow Tactics. So what's neat is what you're about to learn tonight. You have people like Robert Kiyosaki, Robert Allen, Dean Graziosi, Russell Brunson, some of the smartest minds out there saying this is the path, this is the way. Now, my favorite part about it is his foundation of his content. You don't need to go make more to get ahead. You don't need to go make more. You actually can keep what you're making now and get ahead right where you stand, right where you stand. And sometimes, at least for me in my life, it's been overwhelming. Where do I start and how do I get started? And that's what he's gonna go over tonight. So without further ado, get in state, stand up here with your shoulders, bring good energy. Let's give it up for Ryan Lee.
Thanks, dude. That means a lot to have my younger brother, who I look up to quite a bit, say those things. So Aaron, thank you. I am the shortest one in the family. And so when I came in and I saw that they'd built me a stage, I thought it might be a joke. So thank you very much for taking your time out to listen to me tonight. I'm excited to share this because what I'm going to share with you guys tonight, I didn't create for you. I didn't create for the marketplace. I created it for me. How many of you have ever felt stuck with money in your life? Like no matter what you do, you can't get ahead. You might get ahead and then you go right back to where you started from. That's how I felt. And the more I looked into money, the more I realized whether it's disingenuous, whether it's deceitful, whether it's done by design or not, the more I looked into what we're taught about money, the more I realized it was all broken. And it was almost impossible for me to win the game of money following those methodologies. So what I'm going to share with you today is really my journey and the principles that I've discovered along the way that we've now shared with hundreds, now even thousands of clients across the country. And the thing I want you guys to be thinking about as we go through this, there are actually two different games of money. Most people don't understand that, but there are two very distinct different games of money that require completely different mindsets and completely different frameworks. There is the game of making money, generating income. That's why you guys are here right now, right? You are with one of the best companies out there that has one of the most innovative methodologies and innovative company missions that I've ever seen. I love Vital. I love what you guys represent and stand for and what you guys do in the marketplace. But making money is only one side of the game, right? Anyone that's made money over a long enough period of time arrives at a point in their life when they start to look back and they realize, I've made a decent amount of money, right? But then when they look back and they look in their bank accounts and they look on their investments or wherever they've put their money, they realize there's a pretty big disparity between what they've made and what they've kept, right? And if you think about making money, it's a game of speed. It's a game of making quick decisions, of pivots, right? Adapting to the market. But the game of wealth, that's a whole different game. It's a game based on time. In fact, those that have the longest time horizons, guess what? They're the ones that win. When you think about a guy like Warren Buffett, do you think he became a multi-billionaire in a decade? Do you know 97% of Warren Buffett's wealth was actually created in the last 15 years? And the only reason for that, he has almost a century's worth of compounding behind him. So today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the game of wealth. And so I want you to think about this. When we talk about income and wealth, one is speed, one is time. And if you can put those two games together, guess what happens? You win. And why is that important? You know, I talk to a lot of people about money, and I think one of the biggest things I get from people is, why do you talk about money so much? What's your problem? Why can't you just be satisfied? Why don't you have enough? Have you ever heard that about money before? My brother and I, we grew up in a house where anytime you talked about money, it wasn't usually looked on fondly. In fact, it was, you shouldn't push so hard. You should have just enough, right? But here's what I think about money. Money is literally a tool. That's all it is. And just like any tool, it can be used for amazing good. It can be used for amazing bad. But just like any tool, it comes down to the person that holds the tool that will determine what the outcome of that money is. And I believe, here's the thing, that money is literally a tool to build and live a life that matters. So many people that I talk to wait for one day. One day, they're going to live the life of their dreams. One day, they're going to go on that vacation. One day, they're going to start their business. One day, they're going to write that book. Whatever that dream might be, one day. And guess what never happens? That day. So today, my friends, I'm going to talk to you about money because it is the tool to unlock the best possible version of your life. And as we go into this, I want you to have that dream in the back of your head. What does that mean to you? What is actually possible for your life? You see, in the schools out there, we're not taught about possibility. We're taught to think in a box, right? You go to a school counselor, they tell you how much you can make based on an average salary that an average person earns. I want you guys to consider something. You guys aren't average. That's the whole reason you're in this room right now. So today, we're not going to talk about average. We're not going to talk about average rates of return. We're going to talk about extraordinary. You guys down for that? Yes. All right, let me hear you say extraordinary. Extraordinary. Here we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do with you guys today is I'm going to talk about how busy professionals, just like you guys, just like me, can actually achieve wealth and financial freedom without quitting their day job. And I'm gonna do this for my brother because, man, I love how, man, this guy right here has inspired me throughout the years. You know, I don't know if he's ever told you this story, but I remember when we were growing up, man, we would work so hard. Every Saturday was full of a list of chores, right? And most of those chores were outside in the garden. My dad had a garden the size of this office building. And we would be out there weeding and picking and doing all the things, and I learned so much from doing that. But about 3 o'clock, Aaron would disappear. No one knew where Aaron was, right? And everyone would look around for Aaron, and about an hour later, Aaron shows up with a handful of money. Where did he get the money? Well, he took everything out of the garden, he put it in a wagon, and he ran around the neighborhood selling all the stuff, right? We did all the work, he sold all the stuff. So that dude back there is an entrepreneur. And the thing I want you guys to, oh, that's supposed to be a meme that didn't really work. But the thing, have you ever guessed, wow, what is going on with my little clicker here? Click, click, click. There we go. So have you ever seen that movie, what's the one with this girl, the kids that do all the magic in this, the underground? I'm gonna blow your mind today. Stranger Things. I'm gonna give you guys an opportunity to think about money completely differently. And I'm gonna show you how to take control over money. If it's just a tool, how you can take control of money to literally help you make better decisions with your life. And I want you to consider that this presentation I'm gonna share with you today, it's not actually for you. Think about this for just a moment. One day, I'm gonna be that man right there. One day I'm gonna be that man. That time's gonna pass one way or the other. And when I get to that age, when I get to that time, what will that man thank this man for today? Think about that for your life, your legacy. What will the future version of yourself thank the present version of you for? You know the number one thing I hear from people when I meet with them? I wish I would have started when? Sooner. I wish I would have started 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30 years ago. Remember, the game of wealth is the game of time. Our text the font didn't come out very well. We okay on that? Yeah. All right, cool. So I'm in danger. You're in danger. Here's the thing, guys. Let's read some stats here. You can find your own stats on this. But 49% of the middle class, they're going to retire in poverty. Look to your left and look to your right. If it's not you, it's one of your neighbors. That's crazy. Think about the coveted American dream. Half of them are going to retire at poverty. The ones that aren't, they're going to retire barely above poverty. 4 out of 5 are going to fail to meet their retirement needs. 4 out of 5 in the most abundant country in the history of the world. 81% of people nearing retirement. Think about how many years have passed. They have less than $250,000 set aside for their retirement. Only 14% of American workers are confident that they'll ever be able to retire. Have you ever thought about that concept before of retirement, traveling, doing the things you want to do? That's what you're facing. This version of you is in danger. This version of me is in danger. So why should you care about this? Well, you should care because you don't really want the money. Man, these slides are clicking crazy. Okay, this is why you should care. This is what you want, right? Think about it at the end of the day. How many of you actually want money? You think you want money, right? You kind of want money, but you don't really want the money, do you? You want what the money can be traded for. You want the experiences. You want the freedom. You want the options. You want the choices. And so if that's true, this is the system that we're taught to follow. Dude, what is going on with the little clicker here? All right, this is what you're taught to follow. Go to school, get a job, diligently save in some version of an IRA, and one day it's all gonna work out. Who's taught that before? Who's followed a version of that path? How does it work out? Well, if it's not working out, here's what you can do. If you're trying to save more money, please. Okay, if you. Okay, you want to just control it for me? Don't click it. All right, I'm gonna put this down. All right, what can you do? Well, if it's not working out for you, you could try to save more money. How does that work for most people? Well, it's not working out very well right now, right? Banks are failing. If that's not gonna work for you, what else can you do if you wanna fix your game? Go to the next slide for me. You can try to take more risk in the market, right? How many of you ever felt that? I'm gonna go invest, I'm gonna make it happen, and then all of a sudden this happens, and 2022 happens, and you're down 25%. If that's not gonna work, what else can you do? Let's go to the next slide. You can hire a professional money manager, right? And if you hire a professional money manager, 89% of them fail to beat the market average. They can't even beat the average that the market delivers. So option number 4 is maybe you should consider not doing anything at all.
Keeping the bait.
What's the point? If nothing you do is going to work, what's the point, right? Let's keep going on these slides. So look, you can be mad about this. You can, sorry, these were supposed to animate. You can cry about this, or you can ask yourself a question. Let's ask what that question is, okay? So what if you take control over your money and your results? Let's go through these slides quicker. What if you take control of your money and your results? And I'm going to invite you to consider the number one pathway to do this is building wealth outside of Wall Street. Flip, man. None of this is animated. Is it on PDF or PowerPoint?
Whatever your lady sent me, that's what's on there.
That sucks.
Vital, we're uncommon.
Vital, you're uncommon. All right, well, look. I'm just gonna ad-lib this then, okay? Here's what the problem is. I want you to consider this. The entire financial system is based on one word. You guys know what that word is? Average. Consider that for just a moment. Everyone is fighting for average. It's for the average investor who wants an average rate of return, who's planning for an average retirement, who's going to save an average amount of money, and is going to expect average results. And if you're going to win in that game, what does winning look like? Average plus 1. Average plus 1 might make you lose less dramatically, but you're still gonna lose nonetheless. So I want you guys to consider, let's go to the next one, that the game that we're gonna play today, the uncommon mission of Vital, is where you're going to jump from the world of the average to the world of extraordinary. Let's go to the next one. And I'm gonna show you a path to become financially free in 10 years or less. You guys down for that?
Yes.
I mean, let that sink in for just a moment. What's possible on the extraordinary side? Financial freedom in 10 years or less. And as Aaron said, you don't have to be wealthy to do it. You can do it exactly where you're starting from today. You know where I started? $62,000 a year. Let's go. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to open up some more options in your life. I'm gonna show you that money's greatest intrinsic value is its ability to give you more options in your life and more control over your time, and that we are on a mission. We are on a mission to inspire 10,000 people just like you. This is why Dean, this is why Tony, not Tony, maybe Tony one day, but why Dean and why Robert Kiyosaki are getting involved with our company, because we are on a mission to inspire 10,000 hardworking, everyday Americans to rise up and take control over their money, their life, and their options. Because I believe on the other side of this is your best life. And these aren't animating. Here's some results. Leah came into our community. She had been in the game for 30 years. During COVID, guess what happened? She got laid off. After 30 years, she couldn't go back into the marketplace and make the same amount of money that she was making before, and she felt stuck. When she came into our world, we rearranged her finances, showing what I'm gonna show you today, and within 18 months, she went from stuck to free. And it was just a matter of understanding what to do with money, how to be truly empowered with money. So we've helped our people do a lot of different things. So far in our community, our people have acquired 3,600 properties. 3,600 properties. Those properties generate almost $2.3 million a month of passive income to the community. And they have a way to protect it from taxes forever. So we're gonna go through all of that today. And I'm gonna brag for just a minute. My name's Ryan and I'm financially free. Let me show you how I did it, okay? You guys down for that? Because it didn't start off like this. This is what financial freedom means for me. Like, this is what I always wanted. I didn't want the money, I wanted all of this stuff, but here's how it started. I followed the traditional path, and the traditional path for me, looked like this. Go to school. Now, what my brother didn't tell you, I think he talked about degrees and all that stuff. I actually dropped out of high school. And when I got my life back on track, all of the social conditioning kicked in for me. And I thought, well, what do you do when you're a socially responsible person? You go to school. So I got my GED, then I went to college. I didn't want to graduate college. I just wanted to get it done and check the box. So I did a 4-year degree in 2. And I'll never forget when I graduated college, I had a menu of job options. But during college, I was actually side hustling to pay my way through college. And I remember when I got that very first paycheck, it required my new wife and I, Bethany, to move from Utah. We went to Arizona, and I remember I got that first paycheck, and I was so dang excited. I know you guys probably don't get paychecks anymore, but I actually got a check in an envelope, right? It was a multicolored check. It had a little window on it, and I could see my name in it, and I put the check in my back pocket, because here's a high school dropout that has a college degree, has a first professional job, and I remember I took it to the Bank of America to open it that day to kind of celebrate that I made it, right? I made it. And I remember I opened the check, right? I opened the check, and I pulled it out, and I looked at it. And I looked at it, and I like turned it over a couple times because something had to be wrong, right? When I looked at that, I had a gross amount of money, then I had a bunch of deductions, taxes, insurance, all the things, and Social Security, what the heck is that, right? And then I had a little teeny number. And I remember when I saw that number, it was less money than I was making as a side hustler to pay my way through college. And I remember a little voice in the back of my head started to chirp. It started to say, hey, you should just quit now. How many of you ever felt that about the traditional path? That's probably why a lot of you are in this room right now, right? You should just quit now. Now, I'm married. My wife, Bethany, was pregnant with our first son, and I told that voice to shut up. And I applied the Lee work ethic. And I said, I'm going to climb the corporate ladder as fast and as hard as I can, and if I make more and I save more and I invest better, maybe I'll get what I want. And my goal that I declared on the Bank of America in Tucson, Arizona was I'm going to retire in my 50s. You want to see how this turned out for me? So I figured I better learn how to invest. So the very first thing I did, I went and talked to my HR advisor. I maxed out my 401k. Then how many of you have heard of Jim Cramer? Jim Cramer used to run an option trading program, and so I learned how to trade options in the market. And I was like, I'm doing it, right? Then I bought a piece of real estate. Then I put money in this weird little insurance policy, and I even bought some dinar. Do you guys know what dinar is? Iraqi money. Now, here's a piece of financial advice. Write this down. Super important. Probably the number one thing. If you ever take financial advice from someone who calls themselves the dinar daddy, you're probably not taking the right financial advice. But I took the advice anyway, and I bought some dinar. And I'm like, dude, it's all going to work. And then 2008 came. And I'll never forget, up to 2008, I had about 5 years in the market when everything was going up. Everyone was winning, even if their eyes were closed. And in 2008, I learned some hard lessons. I watched my 401k, my IRA, my option trading account drop like a rock. And I thought I was the only one. But then I talked to my coworkers. I talked to the people that were doing the same thing I was. And here's the crazy thing. The thing that I was modeling my life after these people. Their lives were falling apart. Their marriages were falling apart. Their health was falling apart because they were just working and grinding away, waiting for one day. And I thought, man, if I do what they do, if I work hard, save hard, it's all going to work out for me. And I remember when I lost all this money, I thought maybe I had done something wrong. But then when I realized that everyone else had lost money and their dream of retirement was fading away, I learned a hard lesson. Like repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is what? In freaking sanity. So look, here's where it all fell apart for me. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. That's my little son right here. This is Doug. He's in a hospital bed. And when he was born with a heart defect. I knew about it, but the Lees were optimists. And I thought, man, I could just, sunshine and rainbow my way out of this thing, right? And all during the corporate time that I was working, every promotion I took, you can imagine what this did. It required more out of me. I worked harder, I worked longer hours, I took on more responsibility. I even found myself at this particular time in my life living in a different state than my family. My family lived in Utah, and I lived in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I would fly back and forth. When I was home, I wasn't really there. I wasn't a good father, I wasn't a good husband, and everything was on the border of crashing. And I remember when I got a call from my wife, and she told me that Doug was going to need an emergency open heart surgery. At that moment, I felt like I had lost everything. I just lost all our money, and that didn't even matter anymore. I'm about to lose everything I really care about because I was putting everything on the line for one day. So I came back home. I spent a couple weeks in the hospital with my son. He recovered, and this is what I did. I decided to do an inventory of everything that I had done over the last couple of months, or last couple of years. My 401k was down 60%. My option trading account was down 80%. My brokerage account was down 30%. I still have the dinar just to remind me, don't take advice from the dinar daddy. But here was what was weird. I had this weird little insurance policy, and the more I looked into it, the more I found it was guaranteed to never lose money. And my real estate, although the real estate market had kind of been a little bit volatile, it didn't actually lose any money. In fact, I had $3,800 in my bank account. And I thought to myself, what if, over the last 4 or 5 years, what if I had done something different? And what if, rather than messing around with all this other stuff, what if all I did is put all my money into a weird little insurance policy and real estate? What would that look like? And I started to imagine that alternative reality and the confidence and the certainty and the protection that came from that. And I liked everything I felt. I liked everything I imagined. And over the next 4 years, I decided to go all in. Over the next 4 years, all I did is work hard, put my money in a weird little insurance policy, and buy more real estate. And I'll never forget, in 2012, it's 4 years after 2008, companies are still tightening their belts, right? And my boss, Rob, who never came unless there was something wrong, right? He came into my office and he said, hey, Ryan, you're getting a promotion, right? Now, I knew exactly what this meant. I was back out on the road. It was time to go back out and be a road warrior. And I remember, has anyone ever watched Charlie Brown? You guys remember Charlie Brown when the mom was talking? Like, it sounded like that. Rob was talking, wah, wah, wah. But I was like, in the back of my head, I was adding up my numbers over and over and over again. How much real estate do I have? How much cash flow is coming in? Could I actually walk away? Could I do this, right? And over and over again until I said, Rob, I quit. And the second I said that, I wanted to like take the words back and put them in my mouth because I didn't mean to say it. I didn't mean to go into the office that day and quit. But I hadn't even told the person that mattered most. I walked out of the office and I called up my wife and I said, hey, Beth, honey, I just quit. Now, here's how you know you're married to an amazing woman. You know what she said to me? She said, Ryan, it's about damn time. And that's what started what is today Cash Flow Tactics. So my friends, I'm gonna share with you, and this is what means the most to me. That's my little man in the hospital. This is me and him going on, and we go on an annual adventure. I go on this with all my kids. We went and rode motorcycles through Yosemite and the Redwoods last year. You can see he's taller than me, smarter than me, he's awesomer than me. But look, guys, I got a second chance to fill in that blank space of one day. And it all came from understanding what money is, what it represents, and how to use it. How to use it like a tool to build and live a life that matters. So that's what I'm gonna go in with you guys. We're gonna skip this because the slides aren't coming out well, but I'm going to give you 3 tactics, okay? The tactic number 1, this is how today, this is how when I quit my jobs, I generated $6,700 a month in passive income. It's a very simple strategy, okay? So let's go into it. So tactic number 1 is this. I had my first mentor in the game of real estate. My buddy Aaron knows him, Chris. Chris was my first guy, and I remember I went to a college with a guy named Chris, and Chris in college was crazy, right? I was working on internships, graduating, all the things, and Chris in college, guess what? He was buying real estate. Now, how many of you have ever thought good or bad about real estate? I was taught that real estate is dangerous and it was bad, so I wanted to stay as far away from Chris as I possibly could. And I remember when we graduated, he was the only guy that didn't have a job. Like, the rest of us graduated, he didn't even have a job, right? And so I thought, man, I'm gonna see this guy on the breadline one day. I graduated, went off and did my corporate thing, never thought of him again. After I lost all my money, I was back home for the holidays, and I ran into Chris. Now, when the student is ready, what the teacher appears, right? And I remember when I ran into Chris in a restaurant, we exchanged some pleasantries, right? But he had this air of confidence about him. He wasn't trying to rub it in or like make me feel bad or anything, but I knew he had something that I wanted. So I asked Chris, what the heck have you been doing? And he invited me to his office the next day. Now, when I went into his office, this is when I knew I wanted exactly what he had. I was used to offices full of corporate certificates, degrees, plaques, all that kind of stuff, right? When I walked into his office, it was full of pictures of adventures, a life well lived. I felt something when I walked into his office. You know what I felt? I want that life. And so Chris proceeded to map out what he had been doing, and this is what he mapped out for me. Number 1, he said, Ryan, begin with the end in mind. I'm like, cool. But guys, think about this for a minute. Have you ever thought about this before? If you're not going to spend money today, what is it for? What are you saving for? Have you ever asked yourself that question? I know I never had. It was this blurry, elusive idea of one day I'll retire. So begin with the end in mind. I'm gonna spend a little bit more time on this with you. Then he said, the second thing you have to do if you want to have the results that I have, you have to focus, not diversify. Now guys, this violated everything I thought I knew. right? Who's ever heard of the word diversification? Doesn't that make sense? Why would I want to focus? What if the thing I focus on sucks? But think about this. Think about, like, what athlete do you guys, best athlete, name it, throw it out. Best athlete in the world.
Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps. Do you think Michael Phelps could be the best swimmer and the best gymnast? Why not? Why not diversify? What if swimming didn't work out? Is that not crazy? If you want big results, what does it require? Focus. If you're diversifying, guess what Warren Buffett calls it? It's protection against ignorance. Okay, that's pretty interesting. It's not what you make, it's what you keep. And my friend, if you do this, you're gonna get rich slowly. And I was like, okay, Chris, I'm down for everything except slowly. He's like, dude, you gotta give it 10 years. Wealth takes time. When he told me 10 years, I knew I could opt in. How many of you could commit to a path if 10 years from now you could wake up and have everything you wanted? 10 years felt like a doable thing for me. So I said, Chris, show me. The first thing he did with me is this, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You guys, many of you said you read this, but the first thing he taught me was savers are losers. Have you ever heard of that before? This one violated everything I thought I knew about money. Right? Guess what my dad gave us when we were growing up? Contributions to 401ks or to Roth IRAs. Saving was like a part of everything we did. And when Robert Kiyosaki says savers are losers, what does that mean? You guys ever thought about that before? Is that just something fancy he says? I'm gonna actually do some math with you for a minute because the goal of all long-term savings is this. Let's go to the next page. I think this might be the math page. Okay. So the goal is one day that dude right there, what does he want?
Retirement.
Yeah, what is it gonna take?
Cash flow.
Cash flow. So let's actually do some math. You down for this? So this is why Robert Kiyosaki says savers are losers. No one will tell you this, okay? If you don't know, have you ever asked yourself how much assets, like what you would have to have saved up to give you the income that you want? Have you ever asked yourself that question? How much would I have to have in an IRA to have the cash flow that I want? Now, what happens when you put your money in the market? Does it always go up? No. It goes up sometimes and it goes down sometimes. In order for you to not run out of money before you run out of time, do you know what's recommended by all financial advice that's given traditionally? You should only take 4% out of whatever you have saved up. That way, it gives you a higher probability of not running out of money before you die. Let that sink in for just a minute. Do you know what 4% of $1 million is? So if you have $1 million, the most income you're supposed to take is 40K. How many of you dream of financial freedom on $40,000? Who wants to eat dog food in retirement? I mean, okay, so let's do some math. Let's go back to that calculator. Let me actually show you the math that I did with this guy. So I was 30 when I started. I was making about $150,000 a year. I was saving $25,000, and after I lost everything in the IRA crashes, I had $28,000 left. So in order for me to be financially free, here's the math down here. It's just a simple math problem. I wanted to, at very least, replace my $150,000, so I'd need $3.7 million to do it, which meant I'm on track to retire at the age of 70. Bye-bye retiring in my 50s. If I wanted to do it in 10 years or less, I had to find a way to earn a 42% return. How many of those two things are even possible? None. So when Robert Kiyosaki says savers are losers, what is he saying? You will lose the game of money if you play it traditionally. Don't do that, right? Go up here again really quick. Okay. So let's watch down here, and what I want you to do, I want you to double this, okay? And look down here to see if it actually, not that one, because that's gonna make it crazy. Let's double this one. So what if I go from saving $25,000 a year to $50,000 a year? Is that going to actually help me out? Does it change my age that much? Yeah, now I retire at age 60. Now I need a 32% return to retire in 10 years. But did this materially help me at all? But what would be required for me to double my savings? A lot of dang sacrifice. And if the sacrifice doesn't justify the end, what's the point? You guys getting me on this? Okay, so let's go back to the slides, because when I learned this is puking. Like if you've ever watched Dumb and Dumber, after he finds out the girl doesn't like him, he's like, that's kind of how I felt. Because I had been following a path that was literally leading me nowhere. Now, I'm grateful I found it early because if savers are losers, then what do I have to do? He said the second thing that you're going to learn, it comes from this book, Creating Wealth, Robert Allen. You have to create a compounding cash flow snowball. Who's ever heard of that before? You're in good company. I'd never heard about it before. What the heck is a compound cash flowing snowball? No one talked about that in my 401k. So here's what that looks like. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Step number 1, you're going to commit to your future self. If you're not doing this yet, this is where you start. You're going to save 10% of your income. If you're making $60,000 a year, how much is that? You're going to save $6,000. If you're making $150,000, you're going to save $15,000. You're going to put yourself first. In the world that we live in, most people put themselves last. They pay the government first, right? Then they pay everyone else, their creditors and debtors. And then if there's anything left over, they save. And how often does that work out? Never. So put yourself first. You're going to save 10%. Then you're going to put all of your investing capital into a vault. It's an overfunded life insurance policy. Then you're going to use that as a warehouse of wealth and a line of credit. Then you're going to leverage your vault for a down payment on a single piece of real estate. Then you're going to repeat it over and over, okay? So let's go through and let me show you what this looks like. Okay, so number 1, this is supposed to animate. There's a bank and there's the stock market here. We're walking away from the cult of the average. We're putting our money into a life insurance policy and real estate. What the heck? Let's go to the next slide. Okay, what is a lot like this? I had no idea. Like no one told me about this, but do you guys know that you can build high cash value life insurance policies that give you contractually guaranteed growth on your money, that are 100% tax-free, that give you an annual dividend, and here's the craziest thing, it gives you an open line of credit immediately. How many of you own a home in here? Okay, if you own a home, let's say you own a home and it's worth $500,000 and you owe $200,000. What do you have in between that? $300,000 equity. What can you do with that equity? You can go to a bank and the bank will immediately give you a line of credit. Why? Well, because they're gonna put the home behind the line of credit. If you don't pay back the line of credit, they're taking the home. In a life insurance policy, what do you have? You have a death benefit. The insurance company will use your death benefit as collateral, and they'll allow you to take cash value as an open line of credit anytime. Immediate, no questions asked, you don't have to apply for it, and you control it 100%. Now, why would this help me out? Well, let's figure it out. Let's go to the next slide. So if I put all of my money in a life insurance policy, and I'm gonna use it like a line of credit, then I'm going to go buy a piece of real estate. Now, what do we know about real estate? Most people, boom, it appreciates. What else does it do? Now think about this for just a minute. If the home goes up in value and I take rent income out of it every month, does it make the value of the home less? No, it doesn't. They're not correlated at all. So what that means, the home can go up in value and I can get a positive cash flow every single month, right? And if I have that positive cash flow every single month, what do I get to tell the government? I don't have any cash. Exactly. That's exactly what I get to tell them, right? I get to depreciate the home. Even though it's going up in value, I get to write off all of my income because I own real estate, and I get to use the most powerful tool of all, which is leverage. I get to go to a bank and say, hey, bank, guess what? I don't have enough money to buy that home. Why don't you give me 80% of it? And what do? Okay. So let's go to this. Let's skip this one. All right, so this is supposed to animate, not animating. That's Superman, I'm taking off, I'm excited. So job becomes my freedom. So for the first time, my job actually had a purpose. Now, you guys like what you do, guess what? I freaking hated what I did. I hated it. Like I had to jump up and down on Sunday night and slap myself in the face to go to work on Monday morning. I hated it. But my job actually became worthwhile now, because now I'm making good money. I know how to actually protect my money, and I know how to generate cash flow. So I converted all of my active income. I put it into a life insurance policy where it was building up in a warehouse of wealth. I would leverage the line of credit as a down payment. I would go buy a positive cash flowing piece of property. I would take the cash flow from that real estate, put it back in the vault, and guess what I did?
Did it again.
I did it again. Let's roll through it and see how that looks. So the first time I bought the piece of real estate, it took me a little while to get the money back in the policy. But guess what? The second time I did it, I now had cash flow coming in from property number 1 and cash flow coming in from property number 2. What happened?
Compound.
I could do it twice as fast. The third time, I could do it 3 times as fast. Guess what, guys? I have 38 of these today. And guess what happens? It's crazy. I can pay it off in months. Do you have a question?
What was your first property that you purchased?
What was it?
Yeah.
3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Just regular house.
Dude, I'm going to talk a lot about what kind of houses. In fact, that's the next thing I'm going to talk about. Exactly what. They're so dumb, they're hiding in plain sight. It's crazy. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. So let's go to the next one. Here was my, oh, this is supposed to animate. Dang it. I'm going to just, Lauren. These little gears, they spin back and forth. Like, that's awesome. We're creating a passive income machine. I'm putting money into the vault. I'm leveraging the vault to buy real estate. I'm repeating this, and they start spinning on its own. Okay, let's go to the next one. So year one, I bought 3 properties. And again, animation sucks. Okay, so I was saving $1,200 a month. Okay, that was what I had to go to work every single day, trade my time, effort, and energy, my mental sanity, to save $1,200 a month. After 1 year, I had bought 3 properties. The first one generated about $350 in cash flow, the second one about $300, and the third one about $300. So I had about $1,000 a month coming in from these 3 properties, which meant I virtually doubled my savings. If I could double my savings in 1 year, what should I do next year? Let's double it again, right? So I bought 2 more properties. I partnered up with that dude over there. I'm buying some of those properties. And now I was able to go from saving $1,000 to $2,600 plus the $1,200 I was putting in. So my savings jumped again. By year number 3, I bought 6 more. And by year number 4, I bought 4 more. I was making $6,700 a month in cash flow. And I told my boss, Rob, yeah, shove it. I'm out of here. Now, my friends, all I just showed you is I showed you a path to make your finances more efficient. That's all I really showed you. It's not secret. It's not a rocket science. It's not a secret hacker trick. I just showed you a way to go from I have no control over what I'm doing to now how can I take more control. Let's go to the next one. I'm going to get to the real estate. Achieving financial freedom is knowing what success means. If you walk away with anything tonight, know that the fundamental purpose of all long-term savings is what? Cash flow. So when you decide to put your money somewhere, what number one question should you be asking?
Where does the cash flow go?
How much money do I get? How often do I get it? Does it rise with inflation? How much control do I have over it? Does it cash flow? If someone comes back and tells you it's going to double and your money's going to double, okay, cool. How much income do I get off of the asset? If you get no income off of the asset, what are you doing? You're hoping for appreciation. How much control do I have over appreciation? 0. 0. Like real estate's going to go up and it's going to go down. Joe Biden's going to get on the news tomorrow and say something stupid and the market's going to tank. How much control do I have over that? Then Donald Trump's going to come on and say something brilliant and the market's going to go back up. That's not a political statement. But like that's the reality. Markets are based on emotion. Appreciation, if that's the only game you're playing, you have 0 control. That's why Warren Buffett says diversification is protection against ignorance. If you put your money in something you have no control over, you can't predict it, you can't control it, you're just along for the ride. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, you guys know a pretty powerful secret that most financial advisors don't want you to know. Haley and Sean did this, they're awesome. Let's go to the next one. They bought a lot of stuff, they did great. Go back one time. So he came in, he took all of his money out of his 401k. I was so freaking happy. He bought property number 6 and 7. He walked away from his corporate job after 18 months. Let's go to the next one. These guys, phenomenal. Love these people. Also done the same thing. They bought 6 properties in 2 years. We'll go to the next one. All right, so tactic number 2. Okay, this is where the game changed again for me, okay? I'm gonna show you how to have passive income delivered directly to your door. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so I'm a real estate investor. I'm freaking amazing, right? I bought my first property. I walked around like this, get to the water cooler at work and I tell people, yeah, I know Grant Cardone. Yeah, I'm a real estate investor, right? Bought my second property and I had a little bit of panic in my heart. By the third property, dude, I bought it over Mother's Day weekend and I literally had a panic attack. Why? Because in all reality, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no freaking clue what I was doing. So I bought the third property and here's what my life looked like. When I first started buying real estate, my mentor told me, hey, you're gonna go out and you're gonna make 100 offers. And out of those 100 offers, you'll find one house. So what did I do? I went out and started making a lot of freaking offers. I bought my first property, I was all excited. Then guess what I had to do? I had to go find a tenant to give me rent. Then what did I have to do after that? I had to fix the property, I had to handle calls, I had to do all of this stuff. And by the third property, I still had a full-time corporate job. I was still traveling, I was still working. I worked 50, 60 hours a week. But guess what I also had? A part-time job. And I sucked at my part-time job. Every time my phone rang, I would have a panic attack. Why? Because it was one of my tenants calling me with a problem that I didn't know how to deal with, I didn't want to deal with, and I avoided. Right? And on the third property, I actually put a tenant in the property that was willing to give me a higher down payment on the property, even though his application was full of red flags. He had been evicted, he had been in prison, but he was gonna give me $3,000. That's awesome, right? So he gave me $3,000, I put him in the property, and then what happened? The next 6 months, my life was hell. And, well, let's go back. I'm not done with the story yet, it gets better. All right, so I sold medical devices. That's what I did back in the day. I mean, just imagine a puke job, that's what I did. So I'm up in Rapid City, South Dakota, selling a hospital boardroom full of administrators and doctors, all of this medical stuff, and my phone just started ringing, boom, boom, over and over again. And I knew I had a problem because I looked at it and it was multiple different calls coming from the same area code, but all different numbers. I knew it was a problem. So I quietly excused myself from the boardroom. I listened to my voicemail. Voicemail number 1 from the tenant spouse, crying, please don't evict us. He didn't mean to do it. Voicemail number 2, tenant who I should have kicked out 6 months ago, yelling, screaming belligerently, that cat got what it deserved. I'm like, what cat? Then the next several voicemails, right? Voicemails from all the neighbors of the property saying they were gonna sue me, and then the final voicemail from a police officer saying, son, you better call me, you're in trouble. So I called a police officer and I found out that my tenant actually shot in the middle of a crowded family neighborhood with a gun a neighbor's cat. Why? Because he doesn't like cats, I guess, I don't know. But guys, I was about to lose everything again. I literally almost melted into a puddle in the corner of the boardroom because I'm about to fail at real estate. And so here's what happened. I went back to my mentor Chris, and I said, Chris, you freaking lied to me. I don't have any adventures on my walls. My life sucks, right? And so when I went back to Chris, he said, hold on there, young grasshopper. You're doing it all wrong. Let's go to the next slide. Because I was mad. I was that dude over there. I was super mad. Let's go to the next one. He said, all right, look, you mastered number 1. Savers are losers. Congratulations, Ryan. You're not saving. You're not going to lose the game. But you haven't learned this lesson yet. The rich don't work for money. Have you ever heard that before? What the hell does that mean? I work pretty hard for my money. How many of you work hard for your money? So how do the rich not work hard for their money? Let's go to the next one. Let's find out. Passive income is not this. It's not a side hustle. It's not actively investing, my friend. And it's not trading time for money. This is not passive income, but this was everything I was doing. Passive income is this. It's building a system one time, building the right system and getting paid off that system over and over and over and over again. I learned the second lesson that I needed to learn to become financially free. I was trying to hustle my way through real estate. I was doing all the work myself, which meant I now had 2 jobs. I was further away from financial freedom because I thought real estate was the solution. Real estate is a tool within a system. Does that make sense? So this is the lesson I learned. Go to the next one. If you don't figure out how to make money while you sleep, you're gonna work until you die. I did not want to work until I die. So here's what I learned. You can't ever achieve financial freedom if you try to do all the work yourself. This was a hard one for the Lee boys to learn. I grew up with a dad who, if it's broke, you fix it. You do all the work. I had to learn how to build a system and rely on other people to do the work within a system that I created. I also learned this. Okay, these numbers are not gonna populate for me. So I have this dude on my team named Jimmy. Jimmy wakes up in the morning, and if I were to ask you guys what your definition of financial freedom is, how many of you would say my definition of financial freedom is going into stinky homes and fixing them up? Nobody. I'm really glad there's people out there that love a lot of different things. Because Jimmy, his definition of financial freedom is going into stinky homes. He takes his kids, they rummage through the garbage, they pull things out that they like, and then they fix up the home. Like, he loves it. He loves it, and so he goes out into the marketplace. He'll find a property like this. I would run for the hills if I saw this property, but when Jimmy sees it, he sees an opportunity. Because he knows after Jimmy comes in and does his magic, the after repair value of the home is $100,000. That's what Jimmy knows. So Jimmy also knows, because his profession is real estate, that he can buy it only for $65,000. It's worth $100,000. He'll buy it for $65,000. Why? Because Jimmy knows it's gonna take about $25,000 in rehab. If that's true, when he's all in, after it's all done, he's $90,000 in, and then he's gonna turn around and sell it to a guy like me. What's he gonna sell it to me for? $100,000. Jimmy just made 10,000 bucks. That's pretty cool, right? How much money did I make? Let's find out. Ah, dang it. All this stuff animates. And it's awesome, because I ended up with $1,400 in my bank account and Jimmy did all the work. That's what it's all about. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Here's how it works for me. I want to be financially free. I want a house that looks like this. Jimmy's going to go make the house look like that. I buy it right at market value, but the way I profit, I got all my time back. Let's go to the next one. If it's done right, I buy the right property in the right area. I'm going to get cash flow every single month. Who owns the property? I do. I get all the cash flow. I get tax deductions every single month. If it's done right, I can apply those tax deductions against my active income, which means I can tell the government, even though I'm making money tonight or wherever I'm making money, I'm not making any money. I get forced equity because my tenants, every single month, what are they doing for me? They're paying down my mortgage. They're forcing equity right into my home. I also, a mortgage pay down, I also get market appreciation. Over time, here's the thing about real estate. It might go up and down, but what does it always do? It goes up. Why? Especially if you buy 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes, guess what people need? 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes. Always. It's the most underdeveloped asset class in our entire country. Equity happens with time, and whenever I want, I can do a cash-out refi, 100% tax-free. Go back really quick just so we don't pass this up. This is what I get. 20 to 50% annual returns. Now, that's powerful, but what's the real return I got? Let's go to the next one. I get this. I don't want the real estate. I want the real estate in the system, so I get this, my time back. Let's go to the next one. That thing spins, it looks awesome. This is the key. Financial freedom is measured with cash flow. That's how we measure it. Cash flow greater than expenses, right? But it's experienced with time. If you don't put those two things together, you're not financially free. If you're trading your time for dollars, you might have a great job. You might make a lot of money, but you're not free. Financial freedom is measured in cash flow, experienced with time. Let's go to the next one. When I learned this is Neo and everything slowed down. You guys, please tell me you've watched The Matrix.
I'm in the Matrix right now.
I like it. But remember when Neo discovered like the secret, like everything slowed down. He's fighting with one arm, he's stopping bullets. Like everything slowed down for me, my friends, because I finally understood the game of money. Let's go to the next one. Let me show you what I learned. I learned how to Instacart real estate. How many of you ever Instacarted before? Let's go to the next one. It's the greatest app ever. I travel all the time, and I like to eat pretty clean. And so when I travel, I just pull up this little thing on my phone. I say, hey, Publix, why don't you deliver me some carrots and some avocados, maybe some Swedish fish. I don't know. I like those things. And then they tell me when they're going to deliver to me, and they bring it right to my door. That's pretty cool, right? What if I could do that with real estate? Is there such a thing as Instacarting real estate and profits right to my door? Let's find out. It's called turnkey real estate. Ever heard of it before? It is a freaking booming economy. Let's go to the next one and find out what it is. Here's all the things that have to be done in real estate, and there are hundreds of hours within this. Somebody's got to go find the property. Remember what my first mentor told me? Find 100 properties, or make 100 offers, find one property. You know how much time it takes to make 100 offers? Pretty much 100 hours. It's a lot of time to get an offer. Why don't I pay someone else to do it? Then, negotiate terms and acquire the property. I suck at this. I don't like negotiating. I just pay whatever someone tells me to pay. Then fund the acquisition. I'm going to do that. I want to own the property. Someone else is going to go find it and then negotiate it. They're going to complete the repairs. They're going to secure and qualify the tenant. They're going to collect the rent. They're going to respond to and take care of repairs. They're going to deal with late rent and evictions. I'm going to manage a system, just like a CEO would manage a group full of employees. I'm going to manage a system to ensure that I'm profitable, that I'm getting what I want, and it's delivered on time. Does that make sense? Let's go to the next one. These all animate, and it shows how amazing it is. Sprinklers broke. Don't worry, we got it fixed. Water cooler broke. Don't worry, it's awesome. We got it fixed. Tenant needs to renew their lease. Don't worry, we raised the rent. Okay, cool. Okay, let's go to the next one. Now I can buy real estate everywhere. I live in Utah. I own real estate in all of these locations. Let's go to the next one. The most important part is you know what the heck you're looking for. Okay, so over 3,500 properties that we've done with our clients, we've built a turnkey provider checklist to help people understand that you make money when you buy. I didn't understand that in the beginning because that's when it felt like all the money went out of my bank account, but it's about buying the right property in the right area with the right turnkey provider. If you can get those 3 things, you will be wealthy. Okay, let's go to the next one. Turnkey's gonna do all the work. Let's go to the next one. You gotta know what to order. One of the last properties I bought on a plane. So we've built an entire software to help people like understand exactly what they have to look like. So Aaron knows my business partner, Brad. Brad is kind of like Neo, the guy that sees the numbers. That's how Brad sees the world. Brad's like, if I ripped his heart open or his chest open and you looked at his heart, it would be a spreadsheet. Like Brad's love language is math. And I'm really grateful for that. Because when I first met Brad, he's my business partner, and I was like, hey, Brad, I'm doing all this stuff. And he's like, oh, that's a great math problem. And so he solved it all, and he put it on a piece of paper, like all the things I needed to look for in a property. I'm like, that looks complicated. What if, just go with me on this, Brad, for just a minute. What if the numbers work out, you make it turn green? If the numbers don't work out, you make it turn red. And if the numbers in the middle make it turn yellow. He's like, Ryan, you're so dumb, but okay. And so then he put it on a little app for me. I mean, this is what all of our people use. I can literally partner with a turnkey provider. They can send me a property. I can run the numbers in a moment, and I can say I want it or I don't. It allowed me to go from being stuck at 3 properties to going to 17 and walking away from the rat race. That was my path. You guys feeling it on this? Yeah. What is system? System. Let's go to the next one. Lots of people buying property. Julie bought property 4 and 5. Where is she at? She out making offers? Nah, she's chilling at the pool. Let's go to the next one. Armando did the same thing. We got tons of case study examples of this. Let's go to the next one. This would animate, and there's like hundreds, lots of people buying lots of property, lots of results coming in. Okay, this is what I want you to see. It's not that hard. You gotta know what the end, you gotta start with the end in mind, know what you're trying to accomplish. When you invest, you're investing for cash flow. You gotta build a system, right? You have to look at the world of money completely different than what you've been trained, taught, and educated to look at it like. Okay, let's go to the next one. You can buy property wherever you wanna live, and most importantly, you can own your time. Let me get to the third one, because this is where it gets freaking awesome. Okay, so tactic number 3. I'm gonna show you how Uncle Sam, it's your constitutional right, will actually help you retire in 10 years. You down for that? How many feel like you're paying too much in taxes? That sucks. What if you had the opportunity to know that there's millions of dollars sitting there just for you right now to become financially free? That'd be pretty cool, right? This is probably I bet it's higher now. When I put this together maybe 6-7 months ago, the median purchase price of homes, 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes is about $440,000. In Utah, it's probably $600,000 now, right? I mean, freaking homes are crazy expensive. Everyone says there's a housing crisis. There is. Let's go to the next one. But here's the crazy thing I want you guys to consider. Investment real estate has never been more affordable than it is right now. Because we're not looking to buy homes to live in. Okay, here's the cool thing. How many of you have ever lived in a home before? You're already an expert. You know what a good home in a good neighborhood needs to look like. You're already an expert. Now, we're going to translate that expertise to markets. Like, where are people going? People are going from the coasts inland. Right? They're going to the Midwest. These markets are insane crazy right now. But what we can buy properties for, this property right here, $147,000. Someone do the math for me really quick. What's 10% on $147,000? $14,700. If you have $14,700, you can buy that house. 4-bedroom, 2-bath, rents for $1,150. Depending on if you get a mortgage or not, it's gonna cash flow $1,000. Here's one right there, $109,000, a little bit smaller, 2-bedroom, 1-bath. What's 10% of 109? How many of you have $10,900? How many of you could reasonably save up that amount of money? How many of you work for an amazing company that you can make money and you're committed to saving 10% and then you can go buy that property? Like, do you see how easy this is? Okay, let's keep going. I had just lost all my money in the market though. How the heck am I gonna start? I didn't have a whole bunch of money. I started with $28,000, but all of that was locked up in a 401k, which meant I couldn't touch it. So let's keep going. This was the third lesson I had to learn out of this book, and it blew my freaking mind. I mean, it blew my mind. Debt is money. What does that mean? Have you ever heard of that before? To the average person, debt is a trap. How do average people use debt? They go to the store, they see something they want, they pull out their credit card, they spend money that they don't have to buy something that they probably don't really want. Then they come home, they use it one time, then they go back to work tomorrow, they get a bill at the end of the month, and the credit card company says, hey, you can pay the full thing off or you can pay just a little bit. They look in their bank account, they realize they spent more money than they actually made, so they pay the minimum. And for most Americans, debt is a trap. But guess what the wealthy understand? Debt is the most powerful tool you can use. I want you to consider this for just a moment. Does anyone carry cash anymore? I always forget to bring cash. But if you pulled out a $1 bill or a $20 bill, do you know what it says right at the top?
In God we trust.
It does say in God we trust. But it also says Federal Reserve note. Promissory note. The government is telling you right on the dollars that you carry. That's probably why they're outlying. Debt is money. So let's figure out how to use it. The government is literally printing money right now, are they not? Trillions of dollars every single day. Why? Because they know something that they don't want you to know. Money doesn't really exist, it's just debt. So let's talk about this. If you're gonna do bad debt, then you need Dave Ramsey. And guys, here's something true, okay? I had to dig my way out of using bad debts. I bought $3,000 worth of taquitos, if you can imagine that, from Los Hermanos. Who's ever eaten Los Hermanos taquitos before? Would you pay $3,000 to eat as many taquitos as you could over like 30 days? That's what I did. Then I spent 6 months paying it back financially and 2 years paying it back physically. All right, so if you're gonna use consumer debt, you're using other people's money to buy things that you can't afford, and then you're making payments from your income. In essence, you are trading your future time. You're freaking killing your future self. Okay, let's go to the next one. But the wealthy, they know something that most people don't. The wealthy aren't smart. Like I used to think they're so smart. They just know how to look at the game of money completely different. The wealthy understand that good debt, and they use it more strategically, more effectively, and more frequently than most people. Let's go to the next one. And the only way you can do this is getting your money off Wall Street. So let's talk about what an asset is. An asset is when you buy something that does what? Cash flows. It puts money in your pocket. Okay, let's go to the next one. That's cool. Oh, no. All right, dang it. Good debt is when you use other people's money to acquire assets that the other people pay off for you and puts profit in your pocket. So you're gonna go get bank loans and leverage. You're gonna buy something that puts money in your pockets. You're gonna collect money through rents and payments. You're gonna pay back the good debt with it, and you're gonna have a surplus of cash flow. Do you see that? If I can buy an asset that gives me enough profit every single month to pay back the mortgage, do you remember what returns I put up there on the board that real estate will earn for you? 20 to 50%. So if I take a mortgage at 6 or 7%, that's tax deductible, by the way, do you think I have a positive spread there? So who's buying my retirement for me? The renters. Do you guys know who sponsors the debt that you get?
Government.
Okay, the government. Let's go to the next one. I'm gonna make you guys a bold promise, or a threat, however you wanna look at it. You're either gonna learn how to master this or you're never gonna be financially free. It's not that hard, but anyone who's achieved freedom has mastered leverage, either in a business that they own or in real estate. Those are the only two ways to do it. If you can't save your way to financial freedom, this is the way you do it, okay? So here's the crazy part. Those two companies right there, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they are backed by the government. You are constitutionally, obligated, not even obligated, but you have the constitutional provision to take 10 loans with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac because you're an American citizen. What that ultimately means is the government will allow you to get 10 mortgages on investment properties in the Midwest. Go to the next one. If you're married, I got Wonder Woman by my side, might as well do 20. Wonder Woman, there you go. Guys, let's think about this really quick. Who's got a calculator on their phone? Let's say the average purchase price of a home is $150,000, times that by 80%. 150 multiplied by 80, I think it's 120, 130. What'd you get? 150.
120.
120, multiply that by 20.
2,400,000.
Okay, there's 2,400,000 constitutionally obligated to you to be able to go get. Who wants it? Boom. Like you have an opportunity, literally as an American tax-paying citizen, to go get 20 mortgages right here, right now. Okay, let's go at it. And again, life, liberty, before the Declaration of Independence was life, liberty, legacy. Do you know what it was? It's life, liberty, property. America was founded on the dream of owning a home. Life, liberty, property. So much so that it is written into our Declaration of Independence and it is written into the bylaws of this country. Most people don't know about it. So if this is true, this is the key. Single family, 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes hiding in plain sight. Why do I do this? Why are these the homes? Let's go to the next one. Here's the crazy part. That's Grant Cardone. I put an X on him. Because Grant Cardone wants to go out and buy big multi-family, multi-unit things. Aaron, you're doing that right now. That's crazy complex, isn't it? Like the level of financial IQ you have to have is off the charts. And the risk of ruin without that financial IQ is huge. But how many of you know how to buy simple single-family homes? We all do. We know what a good neighborhood looks like. We know what a good house looks like. We know where people want to live. Intuitively, you already know how to do it. And the government will back you in doing it. So all I do is, I call it Moneyball. Like, do you guys ever seen this movie, Moneyball? The Oakland A's, their entire objective was to be the most boring baseball team in the entire major league. All they wanted to do is get on base. Who goes to a baseball game to watch people get on base? Nobody. Right? We go to the baseball game to watch someone hit it out of the park. But for someone that stands up to try to hit it out of the park, what happens more often than not? Strike out. Now, if you're trying to hit it out of the park financially, what's going to happen more often than not? You strike out. You're going to be like Grant Cardone. You're going to win one, and then boom, you're going to lose it all. And here's something I want you guys to consider. If risk of ruin is on the table, rate of return is irrelevant. Repeat that. If risk of ruin is on the table, rate of return is irrelevant. Like if you get 100% return this year and you're knocked out of the game next year, did it matter? Doesn't matter. So why not just be boring? Because you don't really want the real estate anyway, do you? You want what it gets you. So if you can buy simple single-family homes, buy and hold, you're going to use fixed interest rates at 30 to 40, man, they're offering 40-year mortgages now, 40-year mortgages, buy with a turnkey team, and you're going to let inflation and taxes and interest work for you instead of against you. Like inflation will make you wealthy. Why? Because you didn't give anyone your money. Like it's the bank that's losing money over time with a 30-year fixed mortgage. Does that make sense? Let's keep going. Okay, so the way this works, I'm Superman. I guess you guys could be Superman, but I'm Superman. I'm gonna put 10% in my vault. I'm gonna go find an awesome turnkey company. That awesome turnkey company is gonna go find an awesome tenant. Well, first they're gonna help me they're gonna put a piece of real estate in front of me. I'm then going to take 10 to 20% out of my vault for the down payment. I'm gonna go get a bank loan for the 80%. The turnkey team is gonna go find a tenant who's going to pay rent. That rent's gonna pay back the mortgage and it's gonna put profit in my vault. I'm gonna use the vault to pay, I'm gonna use that profit to pay off my vault, and what am I gonna do? I'm gonna do it again. Does that make sense? Okay, let me show you now a personal case study, and I'm gonna close this out. Let's go to the next one. Okay, Warren Buffett, man, this is freaking crazy. This is one of the wealthiest men in the entire world. Imagine what it took for him to build Berkshire Hathaway. How many of you have ever tried to build a business before? Does it like grind your soul? It is so hard. I can't imagine what it took to build Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett did an interview about a year and a half ago, and he told, he told in this interview that if he could do it all over again, he'd go buy a couple 100,000 single-family homes. Why? Let's go to the next one. He says it's the greatest wealth-building vehicle of all time. If Warren Buffett could do it all over again, he'd go buy a couple 100 single-family homes. Is that not crazy? Okay, let's go to the next one. Everyone is waiting for you to do it. 41% of the American population is looking for a good place to live in a good neighborhood. And they're willing and wanting and sometimes necessity renting. The entire economy is built to support the wealth that you are now getting ready to go in and build. It's the most underdeveloped asset class in the entire country. It's been the most underdeveloped asset class for the last 20 years. Look all around you, what's getting built? Apartments. When people want to move out of apartments, where do they want to go? Single family home. When all their kids leave and people want to downgrade, where do they want to go? Single family homes. Okay, let's go to the next one. Seeing the end from the beginning, this is what it's allowed me to do. I'm gonna give you a personal case study because here's the thing. Guys, I'm not very smart. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Aaron said some nice things about me, but here's the thing I want you to take out of this. If I can do it, you guys can do it. This is so freaking easy, it's crazy. Here's all I did. All I did is I read these 2 books. I learned the lessons. This book, you know what it said? If you buy 20 single family homes, 2 houses a year for 10 years, you'll wake up in 10 years and what will happen? You will be wealthy. I remember when I read that promise. Go back to that book really quick. I remember when I read the promise in this book. I was still living in Indianapolis. I was a crappy father trying to figure out how to be a better father. I felt stuck with my money. I read all the stuff in Rich Dad Poor Dad, but it didn't make any sense. Savers are losers, debt is money. What the heck? But when I read that book, and all this guy said is, all you have to do is buy two single family homes a year for 10 years. And in 10 years, you'll wake up and you will be wealthy. That felt doable to me. Who in here thinks they could buy 2 single family homes a year for 10 years? That doesn't seem extraordinarily difficult, does it? Especially with the price points I put up there for you. So let's see what happens. Let's go to the next one. So year 1, just gonna give you an example. What if you bought 2 in year 1, 2 in year 2, and all the way down? Simple success swinging singles, okay? Now in year 11, here's the thing that you're gonna do, okay? In year 11, you've held these first 2 properties for 10 years, okay? Here's what's possible. In year 11, if you wanna take income, here's how you get to do it. If all these did was appreciate by 3%, if that's all they did, go up by 3%, you would have originally bought them for $250,000. The market value 10 years from now would be $411,000 from 2 things, from your tenant paying down your mortgage and from 3% appreciation. So you paid $250,000, they're now worth $411,000. Your remaining mortgage is $170,000, which means you have $241,000 of equity. Now here's the thing that I'm literally just barely learned this, okay? I could go to a bank and I could do a 75% cash out refi. I could go to the bank and say, hey, increase my mortgage. It's now valued at $411,000, so increase my mortgage, take it from $170,000 up to $308,000, and give me $138,000 in cash. Will they do it? Heck yeah, they'll do it all day long. Banks' business is what? Lending. They will jump at the opportunity. Now, what does that mean for me? We'll go back, $138,000, kind of cuts off there. Do I pay any taxes on that? Let that sink in for just a minute. What would you have to earn? How hard would you have to work to make $138,000 net of tax? You'd probably have to earn $170,000. Add up in your mind right now. How hard would it be to earn $170,000 this year? Think about what would be required. What if 10 years ago you did something stupid smart, something simple, you bought 2 homes and you just sat on for 10 years. And then 10 years from now, you take $138,000 tax-free out, no questions asked. Does that seem like a pretty good deal? Watch this, go to the next year. It's inflation adjusted. Why is it inflation adjusted? Every single year, what happens to the cost of living? It goes up. The last 2 years, it goes way up. So if the cost of living goes up, our rents are going up, the value of the real estate is going up, so I get to take more money out of the property, all tax-free. Go to the next one. And it just replays every single year. Then in year 21, right, I just repeat the process. I've now held the property that I bought in year 1 for 20 years. I'm just gonna take another cash out refi. Let me show you what's possible with this, okay? Go to the next one. Go to the next one. All right. This is when I started. This is Ryan at 30. I'm so grateful for that guy. Didn't know what he was doing, took a leap of faith, walked away from the cult of the average, defied the odds, but did something pretty remarkable. Because 2 years ago, this woman right here has always had a dream. She supported me in the last 10 years on my dream of building a company, and I'll tell you what, it has been a roller coaster ride. And I'll never forget a couple years ago, we sat down and she wanted to build a house, and she'd been telling me about this for years. That's not my dream, so every time she told me about it, I dismissed it, because it's not my dream, so why would it be her dream? And I remember a couple years ago, she's like, I want to build a house. And so we bought a lot. And I'll never forget this, because we bought a lot and it became real. It became real that we were gonna build a house. And so now I'm like, where am I gonna get all the money to build this house? Because her dream house, I mean, let's be honest, it's like, I thought my dreams were expensive. I like to mountain bike, I buy nice bikes, I go camping, I drive a nice truck. Her dreams are expensive. I mean, so she wanted to build this house, and so I'm sitting down trying to figure out how hard do I have to work, what do I have to do, where am I, like how much profit do I have to generate in my business to build a multi-million-dollar house? And then it dawned on me, I have millions of dollars of equity in my portfolio. Let's look and see what happened. Built this whole machine, saved, well, I should actually go back here, this is the important thing. I saved consistently over these last 10 years. I've always saved, today more than ever, but I started off saving 10%. Today I save 50%. The more I make, I just stay committed to saving. The fastest path for you to be free is commit to yourself and be free. Put money aside for the future. I've never lost money. Why? Because I put it in a guaranteed contract with a life insurance company. I've then leveraged it to buy how many homes? 38 homes in the last 10 years. Okay, let's see what's possible. So this is the first property I bought, okay? Closed on this property in March 2010. Bought it for $159,000. Monthly rent back then, $1,250. I don't really know. I mean, this is what I took out of pocket. I bought it for, I had to put $17,900 down to buy that property, okay? Now this is actually the one where the neighbor shot the cat too. I mean, I still have it. Okay, let's keep going. The cat's dead. Didn't survive that one. Didn't survive. Tenant's gone too. All right, so in 2015, I did a small cash out refi, $35,000. Why did I do that? To buy more real estate, right? I bought enough real estate, those first 17 properties, I partnered with my brother on some of them. I bought them with my own income. I started a side hustle. I got so committed to this idea of getting 20 properties. I'm a go-getter, so rather than doing it in 10 years, I did it in 4, right? And so I just put everything to it, and then I stopped. Like after 4 years, I quit my job. And I stopped paying attention to the real estate and I started building my business. And after a couple of years of building my business, I realized there was a lot of equity in those first 17 properties, so I refied them. I bought a bunch more property, so I put my money and the equity into buying a bunch more property. The current value as of 2 years ago, this property that I bought for what, $170,000 was worth $533. I did $167,000 cash out refi. Okay, keep going. Oh wait, go back up. That's equivalent to 40 years of cash flow. Aaron and I did a cash out refi on one of our properties. What did we take? $190,000. How much taxes did we pay on it? Oh yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, so there it is, hit my bank account, $167,000. Go to the next one. Then I did a cash out on my whole portfolio, $772,000, all 100% tax free. Go to the next one. And then we built that. Multi-million-dollar home. It's an amazing place. My wife is an amazing designer. For the first time, I felt like I understand her because I never understood what was going on in her head, but I guess that's what was going on in her head. All right, keep going. All right, these guys did it. So guys, that's where I want to start. That's go a couple more. Okay, all right, let's stop right here. I gave you my playbook today. How many of you were thinking I was going to give you the latest tip, like the best investing strategy, how to get Tesla stock at a discount or whatever? I don't know. Like I gave you the most boring playbook ever. What's the playbook? Begin with the end in mind. Cash flow is key. Financial freedom is measured in cash flow, but it's experienced with time. All you have to do is save 10% of your money wherever you're at. Start today. You're gonna buy single family homes. Why? Because they're simple, easy, stupid, and boring. They always go up in value. Everyone wants them. Warren Buffett wants them. You're gonna be competing with Warren Buffett. You're gonna buy 20 of them. 2 a year for 10 years. You wake up 10 years from now, your wife or your husband's gonna tell you I have a dream, and you're like, what the heck is your dream? They're gonna spend $1 million. Their dream's expensive. But guys, do you see how simple that is? Who in here sees a new possibility for themselves? I remember, guys, when I read those 2 books and I started with my first mentor, it felt so doable. And I realized if I can do it, anyone can do it. And one of my favorite things about working with that first mentor, he had a little group of people. And I thought investing was complicated and hard. I found out it's so simple and easy. Like I went to these little meetups with this first mentor, and he had these people in there, and they were people that were just average, everyday people. And I remember they would stand up and they would say what they did to buy properties and how they refied and where they found the property and the turnkey provider and all the things. And in the beginning, I just sat in the back, I'm like, I was looking for it to be more complicated than it was. But as every person stood up and said how they did it, I realized if they can do it, I can do it. And I hope more than anything today, you realize if I can do it, you can do it. You guys work for the most amazing company. One of the things I love about your company is the mission of the company. What does Vital actually stand for? Being uncommon. Why be common with your money that you make at Vital? If you're making money in an uncommon way at Vital, what should you do with the money that you're gonna keep? Invest it in an uncommon way. You're gonna walk away from the cult of the average. The entire investment world is clinging to average. Are you average? No. Are we trying to beat average? We're gonna destroy average. The opposite of average is extraordinary. So guys, I'm gonna answer any questions that you have with that, and then I'll wrap this up, but I hope this helped give you some new perspective. So I'm gonna pause right there. Aaron, do you wanna do any questions? How do we wanna do this?
Questions. First, I'll give a big round of applause.
I got all excited. I walked the carpet into a bunch. All right, so what questions do you guys have? I tried to give you the high-level framework. What detail-specific questions? They're in the back.
I've been looking into stuff like this for, let's just say, like the last year. I'm too afraid to like kind of pull the trigger because I didn't have anybody to tell me, like, hey, you're right, or you should, or that's the right thought process, or it is that easy, or what have you. You know, and my reference is what? YouTube and TikTok?
Yeah.
So, cool. Yeah. But looking into it, obviously I've been doing a lot and listening to these guys, reading these books, that these life insurance policies. So, and forgive me if I don't know if I'm asking you properly, but so let's say I get this life insurance policy, let's say it's for $500,000, whatever, and then I take the money out. It's still worth $500,000.
Yeah.
Right? And then I have this money to work with that'll kind of keep cycling around. And then I guess what I'm missing is how do I get the money back in?
Yeah.
How do I get the money back into there, that part?
Okay, that's a great question. Let's take a step back and let's talk about the life insurance.
Repeat the question for those that are online.
The question is, how do I do amazing things with money and life insurance? No, so the question is, how do I use life insurance as a system? Why does it start in life insurance? So here's the crazy parts. Actually, you know what? Do me a favor. Let's open up the slides really quick. Let me spend just a little bit more on life insurance. Let's scroll down. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Do. Okay, right there. Okay, go up. Okay, keep going up, keep going up, keep going up. Okay, right here. Okay. This is gonna answer your question on life insurance. Most people don't understand what I just explained to you, and most people don't set up and sell the policies the way you can use them. So here's what I want you to understand about these life insurance policies. Whenever you think about life insurance, what do you think about?
When you die.
Death, right? It's death benefit, right? Now, guys, I have a term insurance policy that's millions of dollars because I want to make sure my family's taken care of. But the life insurance policies like this are the exact opposite. So when you set up a policy like this, here's the objective. You want to go to the insurance agent who's going to help you do it. But more than anything, that insurance agent has to understand the IRS tax code. The IRS tax code allows us to design policies with the least amount of death benefit possible for the most amount of cash. So you're basically going to go to an insurance company and say, hey, I want to pay the highest premium I can, and I want to get the least amount of death benefit. Why on earth would you do that?
You're like, okay.
Okay, that sounds awesome, right? Why? Well, here's why. All of that extra money, all of that extra premium, it goes into a life insurance policy, and it's called cash value. Go to the next one. Here's what your cash value does. This cash, think about it kind of like a bank account, okay? Kind of like a bank account. It's much different and better than a bank account. But all of that cash, it's safe, it's private, and it's protected. What does that mean? It's a private contract between all of you private individuals and a private insurance company.
Not affected by the market.
Not affected by the market. It's not correlated to the stock market whatsoever. In fact, the companies that stand behind it, they're the oldest, most successful companies in the history of our country. They have never failed on a contract. They predate the tax code. They've paid a guaranteed growth they're going to guarantee you. They'll pay you a guaranteed growth forever plus an annual dividend. It's IRS sanctioned. So I'm going to show you some stuff here in just a minute. It's going to blow your mind. It's IRS sanctioned. It's tax-free. The cash is liquid and can immediately be used as a line of credit. And here's the crazy thing about the line of credit. The insurance company, it doesn't work like a bank. Like if you go to a bank, you have to apply for it. They're in control. They tell you what you can take, how you can take it, when you have to pay it back. When you go to the insurance company, they don't ask you a single question. Whatever your cash value is, it's an open line of credit. They don't ask you why you're using it, how you're using it, when you're paying it back, or if you're paying it back. Why? Because it's a private line of credit backed by the death benefit. So in this example, You're 100% in control, and whenever you want, it can give you tax-free income. Because it is life insurance, it's going to protect the most important asset, which is you. Let's go to the next one, and then I'm going to come back and answer all the questions. Think about this for just a minute. Okay, banks, how do banks work? Like, if I have $10,000 and I'm going to go put it in a bank, does a bank like write my name on a sticky note and go put it in the safe? No.
Send it to everybody else.
Send it to everybody else. Their entire business is debt. Yep. So they're going to go use our money to run their business. Now, banks are required by law to have a portion. It's a freaking small portion, but a very, very small portion of the capital that they have inside of the banks, they have to keep liquid. So you would think a bank where money is meant to be kept liquid, they would keep their liquidity that they're required to have in a bank. But do you know where they keep it? Life insurance policies. Why? Well, it's the best place on earth to keep your money. So as of 2022, 3,800 major US banks have $184.6 billion. That's with a B, billion. That's where they keep their, it's called tier one liquidity. What they're required to keep liquid, they put in these life insurance policies. They are regulated. They have a standing order to buy as much of these policies as they possibly can. Here's another thing. Go to the next one. These two dudes, they have over $1.5 billion of their money. Go to the next one. Jim Harbaugh, think about how crazy this is, okay? Jim Harbaugh, when he left the 49ers to came and coach the University of Michigan, he had the University of Michigan put 35% of his contractual salary, equating to $14 million in life insurance. Why? Do you think he knows something that most people don't? Heck yeah. Let's go to the next one. If this doesn't piss you off, I don't know what does. 54 elected politicians that we know of. Like, it's so hard to find out information on this, but go to the next one. Here's what we do know. Every time a president runs, they disclose their finances, except Donald Trump. When this guy ran, do you know how many policies he has? 8, with millions and millions of cash value. I don't know where it came from. Maybe Ukraine put it in there for him. Why would he put it in there?
Guaranteed.
It's safe. It's private. It's protected. Who's it protected from? Him. I mean, seriously. Like, I'm gonna give you a bad example, but Bernie Madoff. Like, when Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme fell apart, the IRS seized everything, except he had 2 New York Life policies. Those are the only 2 assets that he was able to keep, and the only 2 assets that he passed on to his wife. That's it. So, back to your question. When you design your policy, you're going to get the minimum death benefit, maximum cash. You're going to then take a policy loan that is 100% in your control. You're committed to creating future wealth. So you're going to go buy an asset that meets all of the criteria that will generate profit and cash flow. Then that cash flow has to sit somewhere, right? By default, most of us think we just put our profits in a bank account.
Put a savings account or something, or whatever, some kind of account.
Why don't we put it the best place we can put it? So we take those profits and we put it back in the life insurance policy.
Same policy, or another
Same policy.
Okay.
This is a system. So we're just replenishing our line of credit. Then as soon as our line of credit is replenished, we go out and we do it again. We take the profits from property number 1, profits from property number 2. We roll that system now twice as fast. And that's the entire game.
So you're just your own bank.
It's called Banking on Yourself. Perfect. There's a book about it too. It's great.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'm going to probably turn this and ask you to promote yourself, because you're doing a very, very good job of not doing that.
Okay,
But
Yeah, that's my question. Can I just give you my money?
let's get it.
That's what I want to do. Can I just give you my money?
So I think this part's important to understand, and I want to make sure I understand it right, and Ryan explains it back the right way. But you haven't heard him say anything really about what his company does today. He's explained a lot of things in his slides of what you need to go do, and the easiest way to go do it, and to find a company that does turnkey, which he told you finds it for you, rehabs it for you, does it for you, closes on it for you, property manages it for you, everything, right? From start to finish, except for you owning the home and collecting the payments. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's what Ryan's company. So when I hear this last question, you still walked through all the things you have to go find a life insurance policy, go tell them this. The truth is, that still sounds complicated to me, but if you go to Ryan's company, you don't have to do any of that. So I opened a policy with Ryan, I met with him multiple times, I didn't do a damn thing. He went and got the policy, told me exactly which one I needed to do, opened it for me, sent me signatures, which I took way too long to, get back to him on, which is a pain in the ass. But that's the point. It's been hard for me to figure out what to do with my money because I'm always on the go with different things, and that's what these guys do. So maybe can you tell us a little bit more about
Yeah.
that? Quit being shy about not promoting yourself.
No problem.
Sell
Yeah.
us. We love to sell.
Let's go. Nah, so here's the thing. I appreciate that, Tyler. How long have I taken? Have I been longer than an hour? Okay, so here's the reality. Financial freedom is a function of what? Time, right? And along the way, when I started doing everything I was doing, taking money out of the 401k, putting in real estate, putting money in life insurance, like everyone around me said I'm freaking crazy. And I kind of felt crazy by myself, but I met up with a couple of other crazy people. One of them is my business partner today, and together we kept each other accountable and we kept each other moving, right? And over time, as I started getting the results that I was getting, the people that said I was crazy, some of which were also stuck themselves, started coming back and saying, how did I do what I did? My brother was one of them, right? And in the beginning, I did enough to say, hey, I did a couple of these things, then go do it, right? But over time, as I started to try to figure out what I wanted to do next after the corporate world, I realized my number one thing, I believe each one of us have a God-given purpose. I truly believe that. And I believe that the way we find fulfillment, which is the undercurrent of happiness, is by exercising our God-given purpose to help other people. Let me give you an example of that. My wife wrote a book a couple of years ago. She loves writing. That's her God-given talent. She is such a beautiful writer. She wrote a book. It poured out of her over 6 months. She wrote this amazing book, but then what happened? Not a single person, I read it. My kids read it, right? No one read it. Even though that was her God-given talent, because no one actually got to consume it and read it, the fulfillment level on that was low. She was frustrated. So we went out and we got her a publisher. And now every single week she gets pictures of people who've read her book, like kids who've read her book that have changed their lives, that are painting themselves up like the main character in the book, and she loves it. She's so fulfilled. What changed? She
helped others.
She helped others. That's it. Like if you have a talent, I want you to consider for just a moment that talent wasn't given to you for you. It was given to you for someone else. And I didn't know that in the beginning. Like I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And when my wife said, hey, dummy, she says that a lot. She said, hey, dummy, you love helping people with their finances. Why don't you start a company to help people do what you did? I'm like, that sounds awesome. So that's what we do. Cashflow Tactics is built on one fundamental concept. The concept is, in order for you to be financially free, you need a game plan. You need someone who can step into your world and use a principle-based approach, a truth, a principle, a system that works, and apply it to you, your money, your resources, and your time frame. So our company, the way we do this, we have online education, because the first thing that has to happen, if you're gonna take control of your money, if you're gonna truly rise up, your money has to be equivalent to your financial IQ. So we have tons of education from budgeting and personal finance, which we are partnering on here. Do you want to talk about that before I share what I'm going to share?
Yeah, so cool announcement. Here was Ben Savio. First of all, this is all Ben's ideas. Give him a round of applause. Ben! So, those that have been through our stage 1 onboarding, we teach you all things solar. We've been working on this for a little bit, but we just made a partnership with Ryan and Cashflow Tactics. Keep in mind, Cashflow Tactics is exactly what Robert Kiyosaki is writing a book about now. This is what he's putting his model into, everything he's explained tonight. We're going to build a stage 2 that teaches every single new hire that comes into our walls all the basics of money. And if they then want to go participate at a higher level, they can, but free of charge, we're paying for it. We're going to line up this company here. Create about a 15-hour course to teach people how to budget and save money.
I'm honored and excited about that because financial freedom requires stewardship. It requires you to understand inflows and outflows. It requires you to raise your financial IQ, and it requires you to save 10% at the minimum of your money. And while that sounds easy, it's very hard to do if you haven't been trained on how to do it. But once you've been trained, it's super easy. So once you've established that habit, then where we pick up is we show you how to set up your vault, your life insurance policy, and we plug you directly into the turnkey providers that we use. We have a turnkey company. We also have turnkey providers that we've partnered with over the years. We have thousands of properties going out every single year. And the way all of this works, we give you a 6-month a 6-month, we call it a boot camp, where we build your game plan, we help you implement the game plan, we do live trainings and one-on-one work. That to the marketplace is a $3,000 program, $29.97. For $29.97, you get a comprehensive game plan built one-on-one with your resources, your goals, beginning with the end in mind. It breaks your game plan down into 90-day targets. That way you're not frazzled, you know exactly what you need to focus on. Once you have that game plan in place, it comes with a tax strategy. How many of you would like to pay less taxes? Guys, the tax code is, like, here's the crazy part about the tax code. Have you ever read it before? I never have, but literally my business partner reads the tax code for fun. He is so weird, but I love him. Like, he reads it for fun. And here's the crazy thing. If you read the tax code, the very first line in the tax code, you know what it says? Everything you make is ours. Everything you make is taxable. Then the next 4 pages of the tax code tell you the basic standard deductions where most people focus, put money in a 401k, you know, charitable contributions, whatever, those kind of things. But how many pages are in the tax code? Thousands. What do you think the rest of it's for?
1%.
It's kind of like a carrot. The IRS uses the tax code as a way to incentivize behavior. That's how they incentivize behavior. The rest of the tax code is written to tell you how to not pay taxes on your active income and on your passive income. So we actually give you a tax strategy. Guys, I can't tell you how important this is. Once you have a tax strategy, you know how to lower your taxes on your active income and how to eliminate them forever on your passive income. Then any CPA worth their weight in gold can apply it. We can apply it, anyone can apply it. So your game plan is going to include personal finance, tax strategy, and then it's going to give you access to all the cash flow resources that you need to have to fulfill your game plan. Now, here's the crazy part about the game plan. It's not meant to be financially free overnight. Financial freedom is a function of time. So only step into the game plan, only step into the program if 2 things are true. If number 1, if you're committed to your future self and you can follow a program for 10 years. If you can follow a program for 10 years, I promise you, you will wake up 10 years from now and you will thank that younger version of yourself. You will be wealthy. Now, here's the other thing. It's the program for people that want to build passive income. Now, why is this important? You're building active income at Vital. When you have your 20 days off, what do you want to be doing? Yeah, you want to do passive income, but you want to be enjoying them, right? Your money should work for you. So if you're committed to passive income, you're committed to following a system, then that's what our program's about. So let's open up the slides really quick, and I'll just go to the last section. Keep scrolling down. Okay, there's tons of stuff they're gonna need. All right, go back up. Okay, so go back up one more. There's my handsome brother. Maybe down there. Go down one more. There it is. Okay. For anyone that feels like they're ready to invest, they're ready to get their game plan set up. Now again, if you're not in a position where your finances are organized enough, that you know how to save, if you need some personal budgeting and help, Vital has already paid for that. We are going to we're going to roll out an entire budgeting course, an entire budgeting system, an entire budgeting software to help your money work for you. Like, the first thing you have to do is you have to be the CEO of your money. Give every dollar a job. Once you do that, then financial freedom is freaking easy. Okay? But if you're already at that point where you have money and you don't know what to do with it and you've been stuck with money, then this is what we're going to offer you. It's $29.97 for the market, but because we partner with Vital, they're paying for $2,000 of your tuition. This allows me, my team, our crew, and our systems to work on your behalf. You get 6 months of us building your game plan, setting up your vault, putting you in front of the turnkey providers, and helping you get your game plan going. Woo! Yep. Get it?
I think so.
Okay. What other questions do you have in the back?
Yeah, out of your 38 properties, including the one you built with your wife, how many of them have solar?
Just the one I built with my wife. That's a good question. I like that. You guys put my solar on. I think, did the video go live?
Get all your bills. 38 properties?
That's not a bad idea, actually. I never thought about that. In one of those first slides, we've done 3,500 properties in the last 10 years. I don't think any one of them have solar on them. That's interesting.
I get your bill. No. You just ask a question.
There you go.
I'm just curious, like, I guess it's new to me, knowing that you can only have a $14,000 down payment to buy houses. My question is, what's happening credit-wise with your debt-to-income ratio as you accrue these 10 houses?
Yeah.
And how do you qualify? I don't know, I'm just kind of
How do you continue to qualify? Here's the crazy part. When you start buying it,
guys online too.
Okay, yeah, oh, yeah. So what happens to your DTI, your debt to income ratio, as you start getting more and more mortgages? Here's the crazy part. If you're buying the asset right, what is actually happening to your income? It's going up. And when you're so when you buy a primary residence, the bank is looking at you. They're looking at your credit worthiness. They're looking at your personal DTI. They're looking at your debt balances, your history. But when you're buying an investment property, guess what they're looking at? The property. So getting those additional mortgages are so much easier when you're buying investment property because they're not evaluating you, the individual, they're evaluating the property. So if you buy the right property, banks will lend to you all day long. And inside of our network, we have 2 primary lenders that we work with. They've done thousands of loans for us. They know exactly what we're doing. They know exactly how to handle our guys. And the cool thing about the mortgages that you'll do is when you go in with a game plan, they're going to help you understand what you have to do to line up those 10 properties. I bought 17 on using the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac stuff. And my wife, she's never had never made active income ever in her life. But we were able to use the portfolio to show a little bit of income for her to get her qualified for 7 properties and then shut it right off. So it's just about knowing how the lending system works. So the lenders that we work with, they specialize in investment real estate. Great question though.
Is it indexed universal life? Is that what you use?
It's not Index Universal Life. So Index Universal Life has accrediting rates tied to the market. It's less about borrowing against the policy. It's more about hoping to get market returns with 0 floor. Our goal is we're out of the markets because we don't control the markets. Here's the crazy part. Think about what the market actually is. You're actually investing in someone else's business. How much control do you have over your business? A little bit. I mean, how much control do you have over Jeff Bezos' business? 0. So it's really hard to invest in the market. And so those Index Universal Life policies try to set caps and floors so you don't lose or gain as much, but that's not the game we're playing. We're using whole life, super simple policies that are flush with cash that we can borrow and go buy real estate with.
So you said that single family homes are the best way, best thing to invest in, right? And not the hotel properties, right? But don't the hotel properties pay off themselves faster? Or can it be smart to do both?
Okay, this is a phenomenal question. Okay, phenomenal question. So the question was, should I buy bigger units, hotels, multifamily, that kind of stuff? So here's a couple things to consider. The most powerful piece in the real estate that you're buying, do you know what it is? It's debt. It's leverage. If you go buy a multifamily, you're entering a whole different world. Very few people actually can qualify on a debt line of credit for a multifamily unit. So when you're buying into those bigger units, how are you usually doing it? You're doing it in what's called a syndication, right? Which means if you can make money in real estate in 4 ways, cash flow, appreciation, tax deduction, and leverage, if you're doing it through a syndication, leverage is off the table. And if leverage is off the table, usually tax deductions are off the table. So when you're doing a syndication, you've got appreciation and cash flow. But here's the other thing. Are you in control of it? No. You're really investing in the operator. So you don't look at the property, you look at Grant Cardone or whoever it is, right? And you say, is Grant Cardone a good enough operator to make that deal pay off? Now, can you make money in it? Heck yeah, you can. But is it gonna be your fastest path to wealth? No. I recommend get 20 single family homes. That's your baseline, that's the foundational asset that you control. And then above that, the great part about doing syndications is guess what? They are crazy passive. You give Grant Cardone the money, and one day he gives it back to you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, yep, great question. I get that all the time.
Ryan, we have one from Jansen online. It says, do you have a life insurance company or agent you'd recommend? If not, how would you advise on finding someone that knows how to work this method?
Great question. Tyler said it, work with us.
Yeah, he does it all, man.
So,
Yep.
I just want to highlight this. Obviously, I'm super grateful because I got to watch Ryan do this, and then he's exactly right. And then call him and said, okay, I'm just showing him this. And it's been fun. And so, again, his company helps you set up the life insurance policy, then go find the properties. They do it all, put the rent tenants in there, manage it, rehab it, they do it all. And then they help you save taxes as you start to make this income and continue to coach you. So it is all in-house from A to Z process.
And you just go to that website?
Yeah, we set that up. We set that up to just be a link for you guys. But here's the craziest thing. Ah, man, it's so fun. The clients I was putting up there for you, I was kind of showing their results and their time frame over time, or their progress over time. Like, you guys are making good money at Vital. You're gonna make more. Here's the thing I want you to consider. People come to me all the time and they ask me, should I invest in option A Or option B? You know what I tell them? None. Your best investment is actually your active income. Like, think about that for just a minute. If you can put $1 into your production here at Vital, what can you do with that? You can turn it into 2. Like, if you can become a better producer, your fastest path to putting money in your bank account, it's not real estate. Unless you wake up tomorrow and say, hey, my passion's real estate, your fastest path to getting money is your profession. Double down and be the freaking best producer you possibly can. Learn everything you can about persuasion, about sales, about psychology, about human behavior, about all of that. Like, watching this dude sell is a pleasure. I tried to hire him. He's too dang expensive. But like, watching that guy sell is amazing. That is your best investment. Why? Because you control it 100%. God gave you a talent. Go use it in the service of other people and make money. Here's the thing that you need to know about money. There's 3 principles that if you believe them and you follow them, it'll change your life. If you want more dollars, do you know what dollars follow? Dollars follow value. If you want more dollars, they're in somebody else's pocket. So if you want to get those dollars out of someone else's pocket, what do you got to create? Add value. What do you guys know how to do? Add value, right? If you add value, then here's the other second part to this. Dollars follow value. Exchange creates wealth. What does that mean? What if we're in a desert and I have a $100 bill in my wallet and you have a bottle of water? Or let's say you have a whole cooler full of waters and we cross paths. I want the water, you've got a lot of water and you want the $100 bill, right? And when we exchange, when I freely give you my $100 and you freely give me a bottle of water, what happens? We both actually walk away wealthier. Why? We got exactly what we wanted, right? And if that's true, if dollars follow value and exchange creates wealth, then profit in your bank account is a tool of validation. The more money you have in your bank account, what does that mean? The more value you've created, the more people you've exchanged with. If you want more money in your bank account, go create more value, go exchange with more people. Then it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And your investing game, it should be so crazy passive. Why? Because financial freedom is measured with time. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah. Okay, so your best investment is your profession at Vital. Your best strategy is keeping your money and turning it into cash flow. That's what we specialize in. Our profession, what we wake up and get freaking excited about, is helping you create financial freedom. Our entire team, all of our systems, all of our processes, all of our quarterly meetings, it's all based on the clients. How do we make their experience more effective? How do we give them better results? And how do we watch their lives transform more effectively? That's our God-given purpose. So when we exchange, we create wealth. Okay, hopefully that answered. I don't know, I think I got off on a tangent.
What was the third one? You said
profit is a tool of validation. It's validating that you understand a principle about life and money that most people don't.
Okay, so from here, guys, we're going to continue to work with Ryan and company to work in our onboarding process. If you guys want to meet more with what they have, go to that link, and let's give this guy a big round of applause.
So much. So good. I want to chat with you after for a minute. Guys, real quick, just want to tell everybody thank you for coming out. Number one, we appreciate that. And just massive, massive thank you to Ryan. You know, it's not like he just shows up, you know, just because. Like, he doesn't need to do this. Obviously, he's Aaron's brother, but it's the second time he's now come to speak to us and share that value. And that's because he's legit learned that, right? He knows value is over time, money's going to follow it. And just want to echo, like, a lot of that's already been said. You guys, I'm so passionate about these events that we do every quarter. And most of my passion comes from regret, to be honest. Like, just straight up. From a young age, I got trained well on one side, and that is how to go sell and how to create money, And I have generated a stupid amount of money over my career and absolutely did not use it the right way. Straight up regret. And if I would have had the opportunity to have people come speak to us on a quarterly basis throughout my career and then given a straight up link of where to go put it, my life would have changed 100%. Everything about my life would be different today, right? And I'm not even sad or mad about my life. It's just, it could be drastically different. I 100% could be in a totally different place in life if I would have followed that or had somebody point me that right direction. So number one, I hope you guys have really listened to the 2 quadrants that have been spoken about all night. We are sitting from an opportunistic standpoint in an industry that is better than any industry I've ever seen. And yeah, we've seen some dips in the financial market, as has the real estate market, with interest rates and fees and changes there, right? And it causes us to maybe be like, oh man, it's not in the sweet spot anymore. And first, I'm here to tell you on that side of the business, like, that's just straight up wrong. It is perspective. 8 years ago, those of us who were in the industry were getting paid $150 a kilowatt. And to drop a teeny bit here and there because of a value proposition to the customer and and a small, few tweaks to the interest rate hasn't changed shit about our opportunity here. Like, if anything, the inflation throughout our market and the fact that customers believe that, and the way the interest rates and inflation has affected utility costs and everything else, like, it is as good, if not better, than it's ever been. So number one, perspective and mindset shift of where you're at today. Number two, whatever you think you've been doing and whatever your level is, change it. It's not. Go find a way to create the extra so you can go follow tips like this now, and don't wait. Go buy your first 2 homes this year. And if that means you got to work a few extra days on your 20 days off to generate an extra 1 sale a month, you guys think about that. You get 20 days off a month. For those of you who are in the X program, locals, obviously a little bit different. If you did 1 extra deal that went to install throughout the course of the year, and you made $5 grand on that deal over 12 months, that's 60 grand. How many houses can you buy with that?
2.
At least.
At least, yeah.
Not, sounds more like 4, right? 15 grand down on each one. You could probably buy 4 houses. You probably do exactly what he did, which is do exactly what he just proposed doing to change your life in 10 years in 5, right? We know the industry is going to be, like, it's got longevity. It's sitting right here. Don't wait on it. Like, that would be my advice to everybody. I can't even tell you how much I wish I could rewind, start exactly what they talked about today, and what others in this room, like Aaron, have followed suit and done. Like, it's freaking impressive. And it's such a cool thing to say, hey, you know how to do this. Well, you have all the tools here at Vital. You have all the trainings from those who have done it for 20 years on how to go improve those skills. And now you have an exact system to plug into, along with other opportunities that we bring to you guys quarterly that you can invest in as well. But this one right here is like, yeah, 100%, like, everybody in this room should start following a plan like this. So just want to give one last thank you to Ryan, you guys. I hope some of you guys are going to click this link and get started. Like, don't wait. Do it while the emotion's hot. Go sign up. Find a way to get the first steps taken.
I want to highlight that social guys the relationship. That's $3 grand normally, and awesome that we worked out a partnership to get it to where that is, and very cool that every employee here down at Vital gets the opportunity to get that base knowledge. Very special opportunity here.
Legit. Don't take it for granted, you guys. Most people have no idea. They don't get a direct path like that. Lastly, just so you guys know, as we wrap up, don't go taking off yet. Head on into the room next door. We've got wings, we've got beer, we've got water, whatever else you want. Everybody's going to hang out for a while, and I think some of you guys maybe chat around with your friends. I think some people have talked about doing a bonfire up in the canyon for anybody who wants to follow suit and go have a good time for the rest of the night. So one last thank you for everybody coming, you guys. We love you, appreciate you. Thanks again for Ryan.